Hello everyone and welcome back to your weekly PlayStation show Talking the PS for episode number 15, where we round up all of the PlayStation and cloud gaming news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games, or up there in the clouds on your digital podcast preference of choice. You join us for a wonderful PlayStation filled show talking about all of the what did we say, lads? Jeff Corto.
Please skip this video.
Yeah, ignore this video. We're talking about leaks, basically, a lot of leaks this week. Iron Man being officially confirmed, coming from EA of all places. Some PUBG things in the works, some more PlayStation games coming to PC, and all the juicy stuff in between. But I wouldn't be able to do that without my wonderful two cohorts, the returning man of many pixels, Mr. Richie.
Hello, everyone.
Who came up with Jeff Corto.
It was terrible. You came up with the Jeff bit.
Surely the peak of contributions this week.
Absolutely, that's absolutely it. And below him, you can hear him right there, our chaotic neutral Rob. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have anything better than Jeff Corto?
It's so bad.
It's annoyingly I don't. That's
so
the worst
hard.
thing about that name. Yeah.
So
it's absolute gold dust for you guys at home.
Before we get into
week.
the bulk of the show, yes, obviously there's GTA news this week, but we don't know if we're allowed to say it because Rockstar are issuing takedowns left, right, and centre. So we won't be showing any footage of it, but we're definitely going to talk about it. But if we refer to it as Jeff Corto, that's because we don't want to say the proper term. But you know what we're talking about, boys and girls. But before we do get into all that, don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you are kept in the loop with all of the crazy antics we do here at Helix Cloud Games, like our live streams, our first looks, our weekly streams with you, the wonderful community. Our other shows, Sounds of Stadia podcast, you may have heard of it. Episode number 157 is available now on all services. And our CloudQuest show that goes up every week on a Friday. But if you are a Helix Hero, one of the fantastic patrons of the channel, you get it up to 6 days early for your viewing and listening pleasure. Before we do get into the bulk of the show this week, we do need to address this coming Saturday, the 1st of October, is our 3rd year anniversary of the channel. And we will be celebrating with you, wonderful folks who tune in and watch all of our content every single week, with lots of games, giveaways, and fun to be had. We'll be having beers and pizza. Again, just want to stress, you need to bring your own beers and pizza for these celebrations. We won't be issuing them ourselves. But more importantly, we're going to be getting together to play some games. And we have a schedule locked in now, so I know a few people have been asking in our Discord server, a couple of you over on the membership page as well. Essentially, our schedule is looking like kicking things off 12 o'clock p.m., dinner time, lunchtime, midday, whatever you want to call it, with this very show live for the first time ever. So gentlemen, we'll be live at 12 p.m. next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, 1st of October, Talking the PS live. Get in there, get in the chat. We want to get in touch with you, the fantastic community, talk about all things PlayStation. If you are here for the Stadia specific stuff, then fear not, the rest of the show is pretty much our bread and butter, which is Google Stadia cloud content. Me and Richie have an Atari showcase at 2 o'clock following on from Talking the PS live, where we're going to go and play some retro recharged games head to head, because Richie for some reason is fighting against me and refuses to play these games. But we're going to force them to on a live stream. We've then got a first look at another exciting title. We've got the Sounds of Stadia podcast, which will also be live with me and Richie. Another first look, and then both Rob and Richie and maybe some special guests are going to make their way to my house for said beers and pizza. We're going to play some Killer Queen Black with you, the wonderful community. We've got FIFA 23, because FIFA does actually come out this Friday. So we've got a big AAA game launching this Friday from EA. We're going to play in Stadia Scope and Hitman alongside our Caring in the Clouds initiative charity campaign with John Scar over on the 4Scar Gaming channel and the rest of the wonderful cloud community out there. Before rounding things out with an episode of CloudQuest that's been pre-recorded. And then we're going to go into the Helix Cloud Games celebrations after dark, where we'll basically just play whatever you want to play. After a 12-hour stream, we'll be tired and probably a bit tipsy anyway, so we're more than happy to just jump in and play whatever you fancy. So let us know in the comments below, let us know in the chat, but more importantly, come along, celebrate with us. We've been doing this for 3 years, and we enjoy these things, don't we, Richie? Every year. This is the first one you've been involved in, Rob. You get to celebrate with us all, kind of round out what at the time will be your 16th episode of this show already.
Yeah, the cool thing is I've watched like you do the past kind of anniversary ones, so it's gonna be nice to be involved in one.
Yeah, definitely. And usually when the three of us get together anyway, it's dangerous things happen.
Yeah,
lots of alcohol is consumed.
Calamity ensues.
It usually does, so it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And yes, 3 whole years, which is flew over, absolutely flew over. And I'm pulling together a video at the moment. I was explaining to Richie about like a little clip, like a montage of all of the things we've done so far. And like one,
he refuses to show it to me.
It takes a hell of a long time because it's trying to get like even just 3 seconds of each clip across 3 years is actually a surprising amount of content to try and get together. So we'll have all that. It'll be good to go. And as I said, giveaways as well. We've got a Google Nest Mini to give away. We have some Helix Cloud Games merch. We've got some stickers. And we're going to order someone a specific custom-made piece of apparel as well. So stay tuned and be in it to win it, as they say. Right. Gentlemen, PlayStation podcast, that's what we're here for, talking the PS, and as I said, it's a busy week this week, so let's dive into it. Rob, if you could introduce us to the
I'm unprepared, the properly prepared PlayStation Cruising Points, aka the news.
The news. Which is quite ironic. I'm unprepared to do the properly prepared.
Yeah, I mean, in my defense, you tend to ask me what game I've been playing before we jump into the news, but if you don't care,
you're right. Rob, what game have you been playing?
That's fine.
What game have you been
I actually haven't been playing any games this week.
It's almost like subconsciously I knew not to ask this week for whatever reason.
There's too much TV and too much work.
There is a lot of TV.
It's just how salty you were like about not getting asked what you've been playing. Like, what have you been playing? Nothing.
Yeah, as though there's like a big game lined up for it. Richie, what have you been playing then?
I've just been playing Trails of Cold Steel still. Still, I'm getting into it. I don't know how far I am through it. Probably about a third, maybe half at best.
Half at best.
Well, we'll see.
Enjoying it though.
Yeah. I am.
Good. How's the trophy situation on that game looking?
I'm not really paying too much attention to the trophies because I did glance at PlayStation profiles. I think there's 2 playthroughs required for the platinum.
Okay.
And this is like the first of a 4-game story arc. So I'm thinking play through the entire story naturally and then go back and consider trophy hunting at a later date. Good. And plus, there's God of War on the corner as well, so like,
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still a
I don't want to commit to the platinum yet.
Good stuff. Yeah, Ragnarok at the time of recording 60 days away, so 2 whole months until we can jump on with Kratos and Atreus once again. I mentioned on the other show, Richie, this week. I actually randomly of all things, I almost jumped into Yakuza or Like a Dragon again. It was on that thing where I looked at the game library for PlayStation Plus Premium and thought, it's there. They're all sat there. Kiwami's looking at me. Zero, Judgment, Lost Judgment, Like a Dragon. And I just thought it's too much to get into right now. Again, alongside all the TV. So I was teetering between Titanfall 2, because I know that's like one of the best shooters of all time, campaign-wise. And it's been on my radar for some time. Or Assassin's Creed, because of all the Assassin's Creed news we got. But I've finished all the other ones. So I went back and started Assassin's Creed Rogue randomly, which I was explaining to Richie was when they brought out Assassin's Creed Unity on the PS4, Rogue was the PS3 version, so they came out at the same time.
Yeah.
And I only had money for one, so I've naturally bought the PS4 version and enjoyed Unity. And it's the first Assassin's Creed game ever like I've just skipped and just kind of forgot about because of the nature of the 2 coming out at the same time. So going back to it's like a weird... It's almost like a parallel universe because it takes place... It's the same engine as Assassin's Creed 3. You play in and around New York, you have your ship, you see the homestead in Assassin's Creed 3, but you're playing it from a different perspective, a different character who crosses paths with some other characters from 3. And I played 3 like 10 plus years ago now, so it's weird going back to a world, but not being the same protagonist and not being in the same areas, but with a different, brand new storyline. But obviously, it's old, and I guess that's the joys of going back to an old game that you kind of miss first time round, as you experience all the like kind of quirks and qualities of an old style like it is a classic Assassin's Creed game. There's lots of stealth, you take the strongholds, the story's a bit more contained, and it isn't a sprawling 120-hour world RPG. I think you can finish the game in about 15 hours, which is crazy. So no, I'm enjoying that one, and that's kind of going to tie me over until Plague Tale Requiem comes out in about a month. So we got some time. But yeah, nice. Aside from that, just watching all the TV that I think we're all trying to catch up on. Rings of Power, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Game of Thrones, then House of the Dragon, She-Hulk. You hate She-Hulk, right, Rob?
Oh god, I'm not kind of like.
We won't go into it.
I'm not angry about it in the way that some Twitter people are angry about, but I'm not a fan.
But you love Shrek, and it's just that basic.
The thing is, I love Shrek, and I love Tatiana Maslany. So for some reason, great,
I totally get it because it's very sitcom-y. If you're not into it, you're not into it, and I think that's absolutely fine. I'm enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it.
I don't think it's great, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
so
it's different, is what I'm liking about it. But either way, this is a PlayStation podcast, so let's finally get into it. Rob, if you could introduce us to the
properly prepared PlayStation Cruising Points, aka the news.
The news.
Again.
See how
Where
much
you're
better
properly
that
prepared
was.
this time.
Yeah, properly prepared. I think that's the first time we've done the news introduction twice, ever.
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly.
Breaking new records every single week.
Every single week. Right, let's get into it, boys. It's Grand Theft Auto. I'm just going to say it. Grand Theft Auto. I don't think it's fair if we get copyright struck on just using the words. I know they've got the pitchforks out right now, Rockstar and 2K and whatever.
I mean, there's loads of articles. I think as long as we don't show any of the leaked footage, I think we're fine.
No, I wouldn't even want. You know what? I didn't even go that far down the rabbit hole, like looking for it. I saw a couple of things on Twitter about. I think it was like a woman robbing a bank or a shop or something like that. And because it's such early footage, it really didn't do anything for me. So to clarify, for those who somehow don't know, arguably the biggest launch of the next decade in the video games industry, Grand Theft Auto 6, leaked. They were hacked, they had the files stolen, and they were splurged all over fan forums, which basically give the world a first look at Grand Theft Auto 6. Of course, the follow-up to the insanely successive, one of the best-selling games of all time, Grand Theft Auto 5. It spanned 3 generations now. It probably came out before Assassin's Creed Rogue, I was just talking about, realistically, and yet it's still one of the biggest seller powerhouses. It beat Saints Row in the sales charts last month, and Saints Row was brand new, and Grand Theft Auto 5, just who out there is still buying that game? I don't know. But yes, they were hacked. Dozens of video files relating to Grand Theft Auto 6 began appearing on GTA forums. Basically, we knew the game was in production because Rockstar did come out and say, look, we are working on GTA 6. I think it was after all the Red Dead Redemption 2 online crap they were getting for it, and then they had to come out and say something and say, look, we are hard at work on the next installment. It will come when it's ready. But we hadn't seen anything official, no artwork, no news about it, other than it's another GTA game. So after that, though, the leaks began. There were around 90 footage clips from Grand Theft Auto 6 spilled onto this forum. So all video files showing a variety of things, including the protagonist. So spoilers if you don't want to know what's included in the game. I don't think it's that much. Like, realistically, with all of these leaks, there wasn't really much to garner other than it's another Grand Theft Auto. Except for we did get a few settings. So it looks to be confirmed that it's taking place in Vice City, going back to the Miami, Florida world. There looks to be 2 protagonists, both male and female. And essentially, it looks like another Grand Theft Auto game. And we can't say anything to its polish or finish because apparently these leaks are from around about 2019. So this is before COVID and lockdown, remember, that these clips are from. So the games probably came on leaps and bounds. But Richie, I'll throw it over to you first. Grand Theft Auto 6, we know something about it now. What do you think about these leaks? Do you think they'll have any impact on the game, the approach?
I mean, the things that were confirmed were stuff that we'd already kind of knew of anyway. The fact that it was dual protagonist, male, female. The fact that it was going to be set in Vice City. We kind of knew that stuff. The thing for me that I've seen some horrible takes about like the footage, people commenting on things like Twitter going, oh my God, it looks terrible, looks garbage. It's like, well, yeah, it's not done. They didn't want you to see this. This is not them pushing this as a promo thing. They got hacked, and this was like dropped as like,
yeah,
just look at the game, fine, look at the leaks and go, but I wouldn't cast any judgment on the quality of the game based on leaked footage. If Rockstar put this out themselves, that's a different story.
Yeah,
but they didn't. So just
there's a lot to be said.
I saw an interesting comment on that on IGN's articles about it. Someone saying like a musician wouldn't want you to hear the song when it's halfway through because it's not done. And this is kind of the same thing. Imagine if you listen to like a Beyonce song, but like the backing track hadn't been finished yet, so it's just her singing with nothing behind it. You'd think it's terrible. It's like, this is kind of the same thing. The art isn't done. Yeah. The work isn't done. So just
there's so many analogies.
It's confirmed. It's going to be Vice City, and I think it could be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, no, like let's face it. Like it's everyone's going to buy it. Everyone's going to want to buy it. It's going to be sold out everywhere. I think when GTA 5 came out originally, I remember like physical copies were quite hard to get hold of for quite some time because just everybody had ordered them. Like pre-orders and stuff were out through the roof. But yeah, any analogy you can apply to it. Like if I'm baking a cake and it's not been in the oven for 2 hours cooking like it should be. It's just going to look like a bowl of soup, right, until it's actually risen and cooked and stuff. So yes, seeing this game arguably probably 4 years out from it being finished, 2019, probably not due out for another few years yet. And it's almost like all the people making stupid comments about its quality and going, oh, it looks like trash, clearly don't understand how video game development works, because one of the last things they do is add the textures and the layers of detail, because you don't need that in early. You need to map out the actual game first and the physics behind it, and like hit detection and character models and stuff. Then you apply skin color, hair, weapon textures, metal, concrete floor, road, everything like that. And it's just it's laughable to think how many people are getting like up in arms about it when it's like, actually, get over it.
These videos, they were probably just created for internal purposes, to share bits of things that were being worked on, to share in amongst the team.
Absolutely.
Or potentially to present to like the board of directors, like, here's some footage of the game, this is where we're at, this is how it's looking at the moment. And then probably, like, you can imagine someone in the presentation showing the video, like, well, this is where it's at, but we're still working on this bit and this bit and this bit and this bit and this bit, and so on and so on. It's like,
yeah, absolutely. As the day ticked on, takedowns began. So obviously Rockstar basically confirmed the leaks by proxy of issuing takedowns. They wouldn't do that if it was all fake or not there. The GTA 6 subreddit was shut down. And then Rockstar came out and officially confirmed the hack in a tweet, basically saying, we recently suffered a network intrusion in which unauthorized third party illegally accessed and downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage of the next Grand Theft Auto. At this time, we do not anticipate any disruption to our live game service, nor any long-term effect on the development of our ongoing projects. We're extremely disappointed to have any details of our next game shared with you all in this way. Our work on the next Grand Theft Auto will continue as planned and remain committed as ever to deliver an experience to you, our players, that truly exceeds your expectations. We will update everyone again soon, and of course we'll properly introduce you to the next game when it's ready. We thank you and everyone for their ongoing support through this situation, the Rockstar Games team. Now, Rob, one thing I want to throw over to you, the FBI are involved now. They're looking to find out who it is, or who's done it, who the leaker, the hacker is. And I guess from a business standpoint, this just kind of sucks from the people who work at Rockstar, who are now, their security and access and stuff is going to be heightened. So like if they're doing maybe working from home, I'm guessing that pushes them more to an office working location again. They're going to have to do two-factor authentication on every single thing they do now. Yeah. They're going to have all their IDs updated. They're going to have to go through all the policies again about security breaches and shit. It just sounds like more work for the staff involved, really.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, someone's getting fired over this. Probably a team of people. Not someone is definitely getting fired. Or
someone's hacked.
Head of security.
No, someone is getting fired over this, because like it'll be someone's quite important, high-paid job to protect against kind of
this,
like attacks like this, and it won't be public. They'll wait for it to die down, but someone will lose a job over this. And for what, really? Because I don't think it's actually give the fans anything more than we probably already suspected. I mean, the footage itself looks like a kind of a half-baked mod of Red Dead Redemption 2. Like
I'd go further. I think it would detract from that initial reveal as Rockstar planned, because anytime a new game that you're looking forward to gets that initial trailer, you're hyped for it. You want to see it. Like,
yeah, and most of the stuff that's being revealed is like stuff you can make an educated guess against. Yeah, like it was probably going to be Vice City, because GTA 5 was kind of the modern version of
we went back to Los Santos, and we've been back to Liberty City and GTA 4, so it would be natural that they might dip back into that well.
Yeah, and the fact that one of the playable characters is a woman, that's
Latino
the direction
woman,
that things are going.
Yeah,
because women have never been playable characters in video games ever. This is not new.
Not in GTA anyway. So, but like the direction has went that way. So I think that could have been a pretty good guess. The split character thing is, again, we had that in the previous one. So again, it's not really revealed anything fantastic for that we couldn't really have guessed about. So the fact that like Rockstar needed a win anyway, and this just is kind of like not helping them in that general kind of.
I kind of think in some ways this is moving people onto the Rockstar side a bit, because I'm pretty sure if you're a fan of Grand Theft Auto, this is not how you want to see this game be revealed.
Yeah, there's been a lot of love from the
not.
games industry. There's loads of other developers and publishers and directors and such across the industry who've like tweeted out their kind of thoughts, the apologies that it's happened. But more importantly, loads of them have pushed out clips of their games when they were in early production. I've seen Remedy tweeted out showing like Control in its early days, and it looks the same. Everything's in like polygonal boxes, and there's no textures on anything, and it's got loads of like arrows and coding flying all over the place because it's the core.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah, it does.
It's education for people.
It's
like
great
going,
to
look,
see.
this is how games are made. Like,
yeah, Cult of the Lamb did the same thing. And I think in terms of business, though, it does kind of suck for the staff because these are the people who are obviously working hardware. And Rockstar are notoriously quite secretive anyway. They don't actually speak that much unless they really need to. I think it will push back. I know they say it won't impact development, but I think if we were, say, due a teaser trailer at the end of this year at Game Awards or maybe early next year, I think that's going to get pushed back now a little bit because they're going to want to come out swinging and they're going to want to make sure whatever they show the first time officially, it needs to blow people's minds. And I think if it's anything but fully baked, they're just going to push it back because this leak has got them so much shit unfairly. I think they'll want to absolutely nail it next time.
Yeah, I always think to like the base level where like you're a developer and like you might be a quite junior developer just kind of get into the industry, and you've worked on like a tiny bit of work in one of those clips, which is now getting completely savaged online for not valid reasons.
Getting muted randomly.
And
yeah, he's back.
Yeah. All right?
Yeah, you're back. You just suddenly went quiet for like 5 seconds.
Oh, well, yeah, like if you're like a...
They're on yours. Kick Rob's
mic. I get swatted on this, right? But yeah, as I was saying, like if they get kind of savaged online unfairly for work they've done, like a lot of junior members of staff won't be ready for that type of like abuse and kind of, as you say, with Rockstar being so kind of secretive anyway, it's like it's very hard to do a good job when you look online and everyone just collectively hates you. Like,
yeah,
it
it plays with his psyche a little bit. And again, Rockstar being secretive, I know I've listened to a few podcasts over the last week discussing the kind of the leaks and the nature of it. And there's a lot of like industry insiders and journalists and such who have great relationships with like people across all companies like Ubisoft, EA, First Party, PlayStation, Nintendo, like directly. And they're like, I don't know anyone at Rockstar. Like, I just don't have any links or ties to anyone who works there. So they must have very stringent policies around, like, sharing info and being public.
It might be just that's one way Rockstar protects its staff, just by going, you know what, just keep the fact you work for us on the down low, because then people won't go after you if we fuck up on things like Twitter.
Yeah.
Because they don't know it's you.
Yeah, it's a crazy one.
It's because then it pushes any sort of, like, negativity. Like, when the remasters happened, they were pretty much bombed. Everyone was aiming at Rockstar, the company, not the individuals who make it up.
Yeah, it's hard to go after individuals when it's just a faceless brand at the end of it. And that's the ironic thing. Again, I don't think, other than maybe pushing back like a release trailer or something, if anything, I think it'll just encourage them to make the best game they ever have. And GTA 6, like, let's face it, it's going to sell millions upon millions. Whatever's coming out that year, this is going to outsell it by double, if anything. Like, whatever Sony first party is, like, it doesn't matter. Call of Duty, I think this might be the first year Call of Duty is going to get, like, actually second place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think if I was Rockstar, what I would kind of consider doing is take a small segment of the game, or one of the segments that was leaked, polish it up to actually finish quality and release it and go, yeah, this was from 2019, this is it now, and just wow everyone with
like
it.
A side-by-side comparison.
Just straight up call the bluff there, this is old footage, here's the new stuff. Like, we're working on it, guys. We'll reveal more when we're ready.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it, although they could pivot and completely basically want to strip out anything that was in the leak, so any footage that was shown, it's gone. Like, we do that shop, that whole site was.
I don't think there was anything significant enough in the leaks to just do.
I think the dialogue might go. I think because that could be like infamous. If there's a couple of lines of dialogue that are shared within the robbery.
That might have already changed anyway.
I mean, it was probably just placeholder dialogue.
For more scenes, there'll be like several potential like varieties. Like, because everything in the game gets worked up until the end. Nothing. I don't think anything's really set in stone to like the finishing stage of the game.
Well, yeah, a lot of the dialogue's usually just done by staff who work on it, who just record some lines, put them in as a placeholder, and then they get the professional voice actors to come in and do it in their place, like professionally. It's a crazy one anyway. It's obviously going to probably keep going on for many years to come as we learn more about Rockstar. I'm happy with it being back in Vice City. And GTA is one of those weird ones where I had an absolute blast with it playing at Festival. Like, I remember definitively playing it, going out for, I think, some food with some of our friends, and we all had it, and we sat down and chatted about it, like, extensively. Like, what part are you up to? What are you doing? How crazy is this? I did this the other day. And then, like with most games, I moved on with my life. And yet here we are 10 years later, and there's not been another one. So I've not really had that urge to go back to GTA. But another entry, I'll be buying it day one, hands down, just to see what it's about.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But one person who won't be buying it day one, hands down, is the little shit who's been arrested in Oxfordshire, England, for hacking. So the City of London police have arrested a 17-year-old in connection with the suspicion of hacking. It's been reported as saying that it's possibly connected to a group identifying themselves as Lapsus, organised to primarily attack Telegram channels, but apparently they've now pivoted towards Rockstar. And yes, of course, guys, it had to be a teenager from the UK who got caught hacking. This guy is obviously going to be sued to the high heavens. And I don't know what happens with laws with hacking in the UK. Like, I'm not too au fait on. Obviously, he's what classes as a minor when it comes to hacking? Is he? He's 17, so he's in that weird odd zone, isn't he? Where he's like 16, so he's an adult in some regards, but he's not 18, so he's not a full adult in some regards. But he can learn to drive. He can put a lottery ticket on, but he can't. Could he go to prison? I take it at 17.
It's like a strange kind of definition.
You can't buy a beer, but you can hack Rockstar.
Multi-million.
So there's like two layers to it. So he can, like, he's done something illegal. Mm-hmm. So he can be, and like obviously the police are involved in some capacity. So there's,
and I'd say he's old enough to understand that he's done something illegal. Like,
yeah, so he can be prosecuted.
And
for a crime.
It's also not an accidental thing. This is, you've had to develop the skills to get through the knowledge and skills. You're part of allegedly part of an organisation that does this. I think for me, I'd assume that he's getting tried as a full adult on this. I can't see any solid reason. Get tried
as an adult, but like the sentencing guidelines are much laxer for someone that age. But when it comes to like the civil side of things, because obviously like Rockstar could sue for damages, like
absolutely
from a civil perspective. I think that's just kind of like they could just go in raw with him, like no lube, no protection, like just go. They could go full on him if they want to.
The problem with the civil side of it is, at 17, he's unlikely to have any sort of significant fun. So it's more, I think, for Rockstar, it's not about the money. It's just about proving a point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're right to do so, to be honest.
Although, we should point out, Richie, the individual and the group that's supposedly connected to, this was an article from March this year. Oxford teen accused of being multi-millionaire cyber criminal. So this isn't his first rodeo. And it looks like the teenager, this is an article from the BBC back in March, is alleged to have amassed $14 million fortune from hacking, has been named by rival hackers and researchers. City of London police say they've arrested 7 teenagers in relation to the gang, but will not say if this individual is one of them. There's a whole article about online games and hacking. He's been doxxed online, apparently after falling out with a business partner and stuff. So this is a smart kid by the sounds of it. And again, I don't think you can hack the security of Rockstar without having some kind of know-how. Like, I wouldn't have a fucking clue where to start.
Absolutely not.
Well, I'm sat at my computer right now, and how do I use the power of the internet to somehow breach a massive security firewall of hundreds of employees worth millions and millions and benefit from that financially?
From watching movies, you need at least 5 screens. And you just hack the mainframe.
No mouse as well. Yeah. That's always a key thing.
Yeah,
it's all on every movie.
The font has to be in green.
Yeah, it has to be green. 80s font.
But how do you develop these sort of skills without your parents realising? And have that sort of wealth? Like, because he's 17, so it's probably took years to develop the skills that required to get through these firewalls.
In his parents' defence, I've looked up many questionable things on the internet in my youth. I'm hoping my parents didn't know about it. So,
Yeah, fair.
But not to the point where you're hacking $1 million companies. Like, I'm sat there looking for particular websites that I can get access to. That's it. But hey, kids these days, like, different breed.
Yeah, like one interesting kind of distinction that I've only just actually read about. It's unconfirmed, but apparently he did try to effectively ransom Rockstar before releasing the footage. So,
idiot.
Obviously, like when it comes to like legalities, I think that's a whole other layer of. There's like
you broke some more laws there and trying to blackmail the company.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering where's the benefit for him is apart from like internet cred, but I suppose if he is hacking to ransom, so we've got your financial data and this information that you don't want getting out. Give me money, otherwise I leak it.
Yeah, that makes more sense from a criminal perspective, right?
Yeah, and it's straight up. This guy's a criminal. He knows what he's doing. It's clear that it's clear that he's breaking the law, for his own personal financial benefit. So he's not kind of like a hacktivist. I'm hacking Rockstar because they're an awful company. He's just, I want some money. That seems to be the case here. It's like,
no, it seems crazy. But maybe he should make his money the old-fashioned way, like our good friend Tony Stark did in second story of the week.
His life.
Thanks for ruining the transition there, Richie. But next story of the week, we've got Iron Man. We talked about it a few weeks ago on the show. Rumoured to be coming from EA, alongside a Black Panther game. And then, fully enough, we got the Black Panther Captain America game, not from EA, but from Skydance and Amy Hennig's new studio. And it's been confirmed. EA put out a blog post this week on the official website saying Marvel Entertainment and Motive Studio team up for an all-new Iron Man video game. An all-new single-player, third-person action-adventure Iron Man video game is now in early development at Montreal-based studio Motive. For viewers and listeners out there, the footage being shown is not from the game. This is from the PlayStation 3 movie tie-in game. I know you two can't see it, but it looks rough. It actually looks like early concept footage for what this game will be. But it does look like Gwyneth Paltrow, Robert Downey Jr., and who was the guy who got shafted as Rhodey, the actor?
Terrence Howard.
Yes, it's him as well. Oh, even Jensen's in it, and it looks like him. I might play this game, actually. Yeah. Movie time games aren't as bad as they actually turn out to be a lot of the time. But I digress. Reading from the blog post, we're thrilled to share with you an all-new single-player, third-person, action-adventure Iron Man video game now in early development. The team is being led by Oliver Prolu, who brings experience from working on past Marvel titles like Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. It is joined by a dedicated team of passionate industry veterans to develop and collaborate with Marvel games. It will feature an original narrative that taps into the rich history of Iron Man, channeling the complexity, charisma, and creative genius of Tony Stark, and enable players to feel what it's truly like to play as Iron Man. They go on to talk about collaboration and working with Motive and what the studio brings. Motive more recently worked on the Star Wars Squadrons game, and they are currently working on the EA Dead Space remake that's due out early next year. So, bit of pedigree there at the studio, but it's official, guys. Iron Man is in the works. And, Rob, I'll throw it over to you to start with. What do you think? Now it's real? We don't have to think of rumours around it. We know it's single player, we know it's third person. What does this do for you?
It ticks a lot of my boxes. You were saying kind of single player, third person. It's got like a good guy behind it with like I love Guardians of the Galaxy. That was arguably one of my favourite kind of Marvel games of all time, really. I think I can't think of much.
Fantastic,
yeah. So obviously, there's like I have my opinions on EA generally, but there's nothing like that's making me kind of be cautious about this game. I think it's far enough away from the Iron Man movies in time now to kind of like properly distinguish those two things and like have it stand up on its own legs, which I think could have been one of the issues with Marvel's Avengers. It just was, again, too close from a time perspective as well. But yeah, I'm all for this. I've got nothing usually negative to say about this at this time.
Yeah, again, we must, if they're still working on Dead Space, we'll probably, again, it seems like we get a lot of announcements so early now, and this game probably won't be out till 2025 at the earliest, so it's frustrating on that front. But I do think you're right that we're that far away from Avengers, and arguably, like, we're probably not going to see Iron Man rebooted for a good while yet. Like, I think while the MCU still ticks over. Unless we get like a random Tom Cruise variant that shows up in a Loki season 2 show, I think it's safe to say the Uncanny Valley effect should diminish a little bit over time.
Yeah.
And as long as they don't get Nolan North, like as much as I love Nolan North, him voicing Iron Man Tony Stark in the Avengers game, it broke that wall for me, because I've said a few times on our other shows, Richie, like he's just Nathan Drake to me, and I can't play Assassin's Creed with Desmond now because he reminds me of that. He's got that voice that just resonates with me now. So I think if they get someone unknown to voice him, go with it, like you said, a new story, and if it has the flight capabilities of EA's Anthem game, Richie, which you love so much, it could be great, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Uncanny Valley stuff is always massively overinflated, in my opinion. Like it hits you initially when the character looks and sounds a bit different, acts a bit different to what you're used to. But in the game, I think if the game's good enough, you stop caring after a couple of hours. I really do think that is the case. And if you have someone who's like 20 hours in the game going, this Iron Man's still a bit thingy for me, it's like, get over, just get over it.
Once you get
like,
immersed,
yeah,
kind of.
But that is if the game is good enough. As Rob mentioned in like Marvel's Avengers, I think that stuck around with the Uncanny Valley stuff because I don't think the game was good enough.
I also think you were hit with like an ensemble of Uncanny Valley cast, because it wasn't one person. It was like, this isn't Chris Hemsworth, this isn't Chris Evans, this isn't Robert Downey Jr., this isn't Tom Holland. So it was almost like every time you got over one character,
they weren't actually on screen enough in like story beats to kind of get you used to it. But yeah, I have they're ticking all the boxes so far. Motive have done some good stuff, like Battlefront 2 looks and plays fantastically. The downfall of that was like microtransactions, loot boxes and stuff. Dead Space is looking like it could be amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think we're seeing this till like 2025, 2026, but
I think EA have learned, they've kind of turned a curve for me personally. I know they'll always have the microtransactions. FIFA, Madden and sports games are always going to do that, but in terms of like their indie stuff they've done with It Takes Two and Unraveled, and then what we're seeing with the kind of their newer projects coming up, it puts me in high hopes. Like I know they always got voted like the worst company. Like let's face it, they're not.
Yeah. But the thing is, like a hot take on the microtransaction like practice that those guys have. If people hate that type of kind of practice so much, then stop having impossible standards for games, and if like stop kind of trashing games that aren't on like a complete different level from like a graphical and production standard, because realistically, like you need like good games need a lot of money to make.
Oh, and they're only going up in price as well.
Yeah.
But
I don't think microtransactions are necessarily evil. It's how they're implemented.
Yeah.
And I think EA were taking a kicking before Battlefront 2, basically, and then Battlefront 2 came out and they did microtransactions in the West. Probably some of the worst ways. Initially the plan was pretty horrible the way they were going to implement them, and then but I think I think Battlefront 2 was a turning point for EA. Like that was kind of at the lowest ebb, and like we can't keep doing this. People are going to stop buying our games. Our stock's falling. We need to turn this around, and they seem to be on the right track now. I think,
but not on all franchises. Moving on to the next story of the week, we move over to the battlefield, the literal and physical battlefield of EA eyeing up an opportunity in the midst of Call of Duty potentially leaving PlayStation. And this is a subject we've not really touched on because it's kind of meandered back and forward over the last few weeks, where we've known for some time Microsoft are looking to buy Activision Blizzard. It's 78 billion or whatever it was, ridiculous amounts of money. And we're now starting to see a little bit of pushback. There was arguments last week about PlayStation CEO Jack Ryan made some comments about Xbox CEO Phil Spencer, back and forth about bringing all the deal negotiating going on behind the scenes around Call of Duty staying on PlayStation into the public eye. And they had a couple of digs at each other, a bit catty to be fair, a bit petty. He was basically saying, I was going to keep this private, but now Phil Spencer's brought into the public eye. He said they want to extend Call of Duty 3 years beyond its current deal. And Phil Spencer saying that's actually very generous. It's more than you would normally get in the games industry, full stop. And Jim Ryan just wants to apparently save PlayStation gamers not missing out on Call of Duty every year. And I can kind of see both arguments. For me, at the end of the day, though, if Microsoft are dropping that much cash in it, they can do with it what the hell they want. It's their product. But I can see from PlayStation's standpoint, them want to try and defend like a legacy IP that's been on the console for 20 years. It makes a lot of money for Sony and PlayStation. They have to do nothing to do that. Just having Call of Duty, it's the biggest selling game of the year. And if you take a 30% cut of that as Sony, if you lose that, that's a big stream of revenue just gone. So no wonder they're fighting their corner. And I do think there's something to be said about a franchise that's been on the platform for so long already. It has a user base in the millions. To suddenly strip that away because another company bought it, it does seem very unconsumer. And Microsoft seem willing to play for the rest of this contract and beyond that. But I can see there are world, guys, where Call of Duty is no longer on PlayStation. It might be 10 years from now, but I can see it happening. Rob, business side 100%. Of things, what do you reckon?
I mean, I'm in kind of like two minds, the same as you, I think. So you've got, I think for the consumer side, obviously it's awful to have like a major game just essentially erased from the platform in that way. But PlayStation over the like past couple of generations has benefited from having some really kind of high impact exclusives, which they've kind of fiercely guarded. And you know, when you go back to kind of like the PS2 and the PS3 era, like it was like the controlling exclusivity for games was like the thing that powered console sales, right? Like it's obviously it's not so much kind of like as strong now, but I can't blame Microsoft for doing what they're doing. They're trying to, you know, capture IP and make it like make their platform the most appealing. Like that's what they're there to do. Like
and they were second last generation, if not third actually, behind Nintendo. So as the underdog, you've got to do something to shake it up, and obviously they have the financial clout to literally shake it up by just stripping titles away. I do still think, like, again, the irony is PlayStation, they're doing it right now with like Final Fantasy. Like, I think which was it, the last Final Fantasy, Richie, that was supposed to be 1 year exclusive, and then somehow Sony have extended that, so it's still not an Xbox, even though they said it would be.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VII Remake is an exclusive still on. I think I can't remember if it's on PC now, but it's still console exclusive to PlayStation. 15 will also be console exclusive.
Yeah. And
Final Fantasy is a weird one because originally it was Nintendo exclusive, then they moved to Sony exclusive. Then there's had things like 15 was not exclusive, and now there's going to be 16's going to be.
Yeah. And we know the splash. The
it's
cash.
A mess.
Forspoken comes out in January, made by Square Enix. PlayStation exclusive. Ironically enough, before Microsoft acquired Bethesda this last year, remember we got Deathloop, which has just finished its year of exclusivity. That's made by Bethesda. That was exclusive to PlayStation for a year. Ghostwire Tokyo, another one by, is it Arcane? Not Arcane who do that one. Can't remember. That was another year exclusive, but it's ironically enough owned by Microsoft now. And so again, they're not innocent in all of this kind of exclusive, and I get it.
It's essentially like the tide's turned, and now they're complaining against the rules that they benefited from in the past almost. But you know, they're both doing the jobs that they're supposed to be doing, which is championing their platforms and
safeguarding their own future by getting content that brings in consumers and money.
The difference, I think, is literally the magnitude of Call of Duty, how impactful that is. Compared to other things, for Forspoken, I'm really looking forward. I think it's going to be a great game. It's not going to do Call of Duty numbers. It's just not
going to put a dent in
I think what Sony are worried about is if you are the sort of person who picks up every single Call of Duty every year, and that's kind of the majority of your gaming experience, you're not going to be picking up a PlayStation because you're going to go, I'm Xbox because I'm not going to get Call of Duty over there. So that's where I think they're really worried they're going to lose out. So
I mean, more than likely they're going to be losing like any co-marketing opportunities anyway moving forward. Like even if so that's going to be a hit regardless of if it comes to
consumer. The ideal situation is every game you can play on every platform.
Yeah,
but that's utopian, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
there's going to be different games against different platforms. Like I really don't know. Again, I think we're all falling in the middle here. Is like we can see, but I don't think both sides are innocent. There's a bit of hypocrisy on both sides.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like Microsoft complaining, but they've also dropped 70-odd million. Rather than make their own studios and make their own games, they've just acquired using their financial clout. And it's like, well, at least like for all the shit we just said, Sony with their exclusives, all of their big hitters, their big sellers, they've been incubated internally for the most part through their own studios, like Uncharted, The Last of Us, Spider-Man. Like, yes, they got the license, but Sony owns Spider-Man, so there's a lot. Whereas Microsoft have just gone out and bought Bethesda, so that's Doom brought on board, that's Skyrim, that's whatever Starfield is going to look like, all brought on board, and then now they've gone and done it with Activision. So that's Warcraft. On top of Call of Duty as well. So there's Diablo. Yeah, there's so much stuff. Crash Bandicoot, Overwatch. Spyro. They now own two of Sony's prior mascots. Yeah. And so they're both just like as bad as each other when it comes to it. But I get it because it's business. And back to the kind of the story going full circle is EA and Battlefield now see an opportunity to kind of bring it back around, because realistically, I think Sony are putting up a fight just so they can delay Call of Duty leaving the platform long enough for them to pull the finger out their ass and make a first-person shooter in their own first party. Because let's face it, they ditch Resistance, they ditch Killzone, they focus on third-party games, which are doing them wonders. Like, I love a good third-person action game. Mm-hmm. However, they haven't got a shooter on the platform that's exclusive to PlayStation, and that's their own fault. They have a list of studios, like 15 teams strong at this point. One of them could work on a shooter. So
yeah, there will be, absolutely. They'll be stupid.
Yeah. And the longer they can delay Call of Duty, the more time it gives them to get this right. I
reckon there'll be a compromise. Like Microsoft saying 3 years of Call of Duty after the current contracts.
Yeah,
I think that might get pushed to maybe 5 or 10 years as a compromise. Mm-hmm. But I think with Battlefield, EA should be looking at this as a massive opportunity to push yourself as, you know what, we're not going platform exclusive, we're going full crossplay, we're going to have single player, we're going to have as good as Call of Duty in terms of multiplayer. They have an opportunity, because then some people have Xboxes, some people have PlayStations, go, well, if Call of Duty is only on Xbox, play Battlefield and you can play with your friends.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity there.
There is.
But it really depends. They just need to make a good Battlefield.
Well, yeah, you've got to imagine there's someone at Sony now thinking, like, right, do we drop 20 million, write a check for EA and say, can we make Battlefield exclusive to PlayStation in the midst of it all? Or do we invest 20 million in our own studios to put out, like, because, like, let's face it, Sony just acquired Bungie, who make arguably one of the best first-person shooters right now in the world, and they've consistently kept that going. You can't tell me there's no experts at Bungie who could branch out and make another division to make a first-person shooter that isn't Destiny exclusive for PlayStation in the next 7 years. So
Sony have talked openly that they are getting more studios to focus on boosting their first-party multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, we're expecting like
Bungie
10
was
games,
part of that. It might not be one-for-one Call of Duty clone, but it might be the sort of game that goes head-to-head with it, like from Bungie, and I can't think of many better developers to do that sort of game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that said, it's not good from a PR perspective for Battlefield, is it, to have like this type of story where it's like, oh, cool, look, like the big boy's going home now, maybe we can play with the ball.
Yeah,
That it's not a good look, is it? Like the eternal wisdom of Sun Tzu from the Art of War.
They just need to absolutely nail the next Battlefield, because I think if they don't, the franchise is probably dead.
Yeah, but it's age-old advice, okay? If you can't defeat your enemy head-on, just wait until someone buys them, and then they're forced to go home.
They're forced out of the picture. So, it's an interesting. Speaking of buying things, though, we'll move away from this story onto the next topic of the week. There is a big rumour circulating around that the PlayStation 5 may be going through a redesign. I know we've mentioned it on previous episodes about like a lighter weight model. They've swapped out some of the internal hardware for smaller, more compatible versions. The rumour going on this time is now we may see an optical accessory, aka a disk drive, detachable, coming in the near future. So Sony will allegedly release a redesigned PS5 hardware model next year, and its biggest change will be a detachable disk drive. According to reliable reporter Tom Henderson, writing for news website Insider Gaming, players will have the option to connect an Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive via an additional USB-C port on the back of the system. However, it won't be required by fans who want to go all digital. So essentially, guys, we're going to see some weird plug-in attachment unit of a disc drive, which it's not the strangest thing in the world, I guess, because you can get them for PCs. Like my PC desktop tower doesn't have a disc drive, but I've got a little portable one that if I want to somehow find a disc, I can use it. I guess this is for all the people who bought the digital version of the PS5 and then go, oh shit, I've got 100 Blu-rays at home I didn't think about.
Yeah.
And they want to watch a movie in Ultra 4K HD.
Yeah, I think the key for this will be it has to be compatible with existing discless PlayStations.
I mean, it's just USB, so I would have thought it's surely just an input, like a visual input audio connection somehow.
Yeah.
It can't be hard to do.
It reminds me of the network adapter from PS2.
Oh, that's gone
I
back.
want like a mini version of the PS5 that sits right next to
It's all I think it's all well and good redesigning like the diskless PC so it can function with a detachable disk drive, but I think the detachable disk drive itself needs to work with the existing ones. Otherwise, it's kind of, if you bought the diskless version, it's kind of a bit of a slap in the face. Oh, you can buy this attachment, but you have to replace your console anyway. In which case, just buy the disc one.
Yeah, obviously the digital one's slightly cheaper as well, so I guess it's just you could buy the digital one and then invest later on, like save yourself a bit of money up front, and then if you do want the disc version, like me and Richie, we both bought the disc one because we're well aware that the degradation of the second-hand market is so good that if you're patient,
it's not even second-hand. It's physical media on like things like Amazon. Like you wait 6 months and sometimes you get like top-class games for half the price by buying the disc. So for me, it was always worth the extra money to get the disc.
Yeah. Was it an extra
the disc
50
version
quid for the disc one, I think?
Yeah, it was something like an extra 50 quid. That's like 2 games. Sometimes you can save the money on.
Yeah.
Like
come Black Friday.
I haven't played Guardians of the Galaxy yet. If I decide to pick it up now, I probably might save like 30 quid off what you paid, Chris.
How much is Guardians of the Galaxy? Let's have a look.
Like,
I'm gonna have a look for you right now, Richie.
Yeah.
Why does it take me to Amazon Jobs? Just Amazon.
Or take something coming up. Plague Tale Requiem. Or Plague Tale Innocence, whichever the newest one's going to be. I'm not going to be playing that day and date, but in 6 months' time, I might go, okay, I'm going to play 1 and 2 back to back and save a lot of money.
Guardians of the Galaxy, interestingly enough, still £50 on Amazon PS5. However, there is a used one for £20.53 pence.
There you go.
So there you go. Whereas if that was digital, you're just beholden to the price.
Well, if it was a 60 quid game, there's you save yours the second hand one, you save yourself 35 quid by having the disc version.
Absolutely. And
you're almost there.
And we've said as well time and time again how with the price of PlayStation going up, I was having a look around some shops the other day and I went into Game because there's a story later on in the news, Sackboy's Big Adventure, still 60 quid in Game, like brand new 60 quid. And I was like, that game came out at launch. It's a 2-year-old game about probably one of the IP that not many people are like that bothered about. Obviously, it's a great family game, but 2 years on, $59.99 still.
Yeah, it's
like,
not just
come on. A Ubisoft title would be less than a tenner at that point. I could pick up Assassin's Creed Odyssey for $9.99 or something 2 years on.
Yeah, probably because it is a family game. It's maintained its value a bit.
I mean, we again lamented, but don't Nintendo do that? You could go buy any Nintendo first party from Switch launch to today, and it will still be full whack.
If it's like if Game are still selling that game, they're not going to drop the price. The reason the price drops on things like Amazon is because people stop buying after that initial boost of sales when a game first comes out. There's less interest, and Amazon want to get rid of it out of the warehouse.
Yeah,
because it's taking up space for the next thing.
So one interesting layer to this actually is, like obviously like Sony, you're trying to cut manufacturing costs of the PS5 anyway. I imagine there's some type of like weird thing here because like for disk drives, Panasonic still owns like the patent for the actual laser kind of tech that kind of reads, I think, the majority of kind of optical discs. So I'm wondering if having like the detachable disk drive as its own entity and product somehow gets them around like a dodgy patent on the base PS5 or something like that.
It might also just be condensing it into a single SKU. So rather than having 2 different PlayStations on the market, you're dropping it down to 1, and you can also buy a disc drive.
Yeah.
Also, visually, let's face it, the disc version looks a bit weird compared to the digital version because it's got that extra bulk that sticks out the side for the disc slot.
Neither look good.
I mean,
Neither look good.
PS4, man. PS4 was the design model where it's at. And then PS4 Pro, what are we going to do? Just add another slab on the top of it. And you know what? It looks great. It works. It's just like a nice little... I don't need the box under my TV to do anything other than just be a box under my TV, quite frankly.
You don't want it... I don't need this like Art Deco art piece for my console. I just want it to be there, but no one really notices it.
Yeah, mine's actually right here in rest mode right now, and now you said that, I've looked at it, I was like, it actually kind of looks like it's staring at me evilly. It's got like its little orange glow. It's quite, like we said, it's quite a large device, so it's quite intimidating, honestly. But we'll move on to another intimidating thing. Krafton Games, known for PUBG, Battlegrounds, have released a concept trailer for a yet-to-be-announced unannounced project. This ambitious fantasy adventure game is based on the best-selling Korean novel, The Bird That Drinks Tears. And we don't have any concrete evidence regarding what it's actually about, but randomly, on a random midweek day, not at any showcases, not waiting for the Game Awards, not at Summer Games Fest, we got this trailer running on Unreal Engine 5. It shows our protagonist, and known as the Nahaga Slayer, mercilessly dispatching a group of serpentine creatures inspired by East Asian folklore. The violence shown is incredibly graphic in detail, fairly shocking even for people who enjoy a good fighting game. But more importantly, Richie, we talked about this on the Sounds of Stadia podcast. PUBG, so random that they did obviously this stellar breakout battle royale game. Fortnite copied it, and it kind of just exploded overnight. I remember hearing the articles at the time saying like the concurrent count for players on PUBG was insane. Obviously, it's died down a lot since then.
They popularized the genre, and then Fortnite kind of took over.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got Call of Duty Warzone and stuff now. But in terms of the money they made, it was obviously enough to branch out into other things. And Krafton, this December, have the Callisto Protocol due out. And initially, it was set in the PUBG universe, and then they realized that actually linking them together might not be the smartest business move. So it's its own thing now, Callisto Protocol. And then, yeah, randomly this week, unannounced trailer project based on a book I've never heard of, but sounds cool as shit. The Bird That Drinks Tears. Very Kojima inspired, it seems like. And based on, Korean folklore. Looks sick, the game. Looks awesome. Rob, me and Richie broke it down the other day, so I'd be really keen to get your thoughts on this trailer of just basically this guy beheading a Medusa-esque character in some kind of rewind time interaction, and it just looks good, right?
Yeah, like, it just like... Obviously, there's like a taste factor to it. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But like, it just looked very visceral and very kind of especially the sound design. In the sound design, I felt like every
they have not toned down the gore at all.
No, like
it's not slapstick gore as you get in some games. This is just god.
Like I felt everything on like a really kind of deeper level than I normally would. Just like the snapping and the crunching, and yeah, it's just. For something released so kind of unceremoniously, like, yeah, I just loved it. And again, it won't be to everyone's taste, but that's fine, right?
Yeah, it's not got a name yet. It is just, if you go to the website, it is literally unannouncedproject.krafton.com. It tells you it's a next AAA fantasy universe, so it sounds like they've got big plans for this game. The original novel, what is The Bird That Drinks Tears, says the website. The Bird That Drinks Tears is a best-selling fantasy novel written by a renowned Korean novelist. What am I going to say? How am I going to pronounce this? Yongdo Lee. It is a story that's been loved and celebrated for over 20 years. Released in a series of 4 volumes, the story begins when 4 races, human, Recon, Tekobi, and Nahaga, become entangled in a life-changing event. Perhaps one of the most unique races in the universe, the Nahaga, occupy the forest's southern half of the world. This is I've realised as I've started reading, it's pretty much a description of the whole universe, so I won't go into it. It's unlike any Western fantasy where elves, dwarves are a commonplace. Instead, wondrous creatures of the East Asian folklore are front and centre, breathing new life and mystery into a world of fantasy literature. Giant humanoids, warriors, fire magic, it says, Korean goblins, whatever they look like, the Tekobi. Cold-blooded race of reptilian features is the Nahaga. I just don't even know what to make of this. The artwork looks great. The concept works, has like soldiers on the back of like giant lion, tiger looking things. Like I said, reptilian looking creatures. It just seems weird and zany enough. It could be, if you told me it was part of like Bloodborne or Elden Ring, I'd be like, oh yeah, totally. But running on Unreal Engine 5, and Richie, we said on Sounds of Stadia podcast this week that now we've had kind of 2 years since the Unreal 5 tease. Probably next year onwards, we're going to start to see all these lesser known companies able to utilize Unreal Engine 5 and just show us games that look more gorgeous than we've ever seen before, and like stuff like this can just come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, the one I'm still surprised at is that they just kind of dropped this on their YouTube and didn't. I could see something, that trailer at the Game Awards, I think would have just went, whoa, what's this?
Definitely.
But it just seems no choice. Yeah, oh yeah, let's just on a random like Tuesday or something, let's just drop it on our YouTube.
Maybe it was the one to get it under the radar while all the GTA shit was popping off. It's like, let's sneak this out now. Again, it's weird that it doesn't have a name. We saw it the other week with Amy Hennig's thing. Like, I don't like to have to refer to this as the unannounced project from Krafton and the Black Panther and Captain America game from Amy Hennig Studios, currently under Skydance Publishing. It's like, if you're going to put anything public, come on, like lock in, even if it's just a concept. We joked the other week, Project Triangle, Project Octopath, something like, just give it something tangible so I can then refer to it as that. The bird that drinks tea that's cool as shit.
You could just call it that.
Yeah. Or shorten it. But either way. Rounding out this week's show with a couple of little things. A couple of PC stories coming. I mentioned it earlier on. Sackboy: A Big Adventure is pretty much got a PC port locked on. I wonder if it'll be cheaper than the $59.99 that I found in game this week. So with the next big game being Uncharted Legacy of Thieves, it looks like we're also seeing a first-party port for Sackboy: Big Adventure. And we also know Returnal as well has been announced alongside Ghost of Tsushima. So pretty much these, I think, Richie, goes back to the Nvidia leaks, right? This one,
possibly.
I know God of War was definitely one of them, and Returnal, so no surprise there. So Sackboy: A Big Adventure coming alongside. This week we also got a teaser for Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales. That is the kind of little mini follow-up to Spider-Man. Is also coming to PC. Sony put out a trailer for this week. They didn't give a date though. They showed about 30 seconds of footage saying later this autumn or fall. So it looks like this Christmas, Sony are banking on a lot of PC cash coming in. With obviously this year we've had a couple of games already drop, but Uncharted coming imminently, Miles Morales before the end of the year, and Sackboy maybe by the end of the year, maybe early next year sometime. But they're definitely committing to this PC port. And
I'm going hard on like my PC rebuild like in the next month, so I'm looking forward to like
4090. You're getting a 4090, Rob.
What? No, not that hard. I think I'm going 4080, and I'm going like super hard on the processor. So
4080's going hard anyway.
Yeah, like I think I'm very, very excited for these titles coming out.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you can crank it up to the absolute max. Interesting to see again. PlayStation playing nice with PC. Always good to see more people get their hands on the games. And again, I think the world's pretty much been exhausted in all these games in terms of if you've got a PS5 or a PS4, you've probably played Miles Morales or Spider-Man or God of War or Horizon at some point. If you've not,
or all of them,
yeah, like we have. Although Sackboy is the only one I haven't touched yet. It was on my radar when I got my PS5 because you have that like I want to play everything new. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to pay $69.99 for a Sackboy game. It will go cheaper or free later down the line. 2 years later, still hasn't. So I'll be patient. I'll just wait. The joys of being a patient gamer. Final story from the week. Where do we want to go with this one, guys? Richie, I'll let you pick. We've got a couple of stories left, but keeping it timely. You can choose.
Should we quickly just run through the mid-month PlayStation Plus games?
Yeah, we knew about the PlayStation Plus games already. We had about some time back, but they're now up and available to claim. So you've got 17 titles to pick up as part of, if you're PlayStation Premium, you have Bentley's Hack Pack. Sure, that's doing loads for everybody out there. It's a mini game from the Sly Cooper collection, basically. Kingdoms of Paradise, Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, Siphon Filter 2 with trophies, I might add, is back from the PS1 classics. The Sly Cooper collection and Toy Story 3 randomly in there as well. On the next tier down, if you are a PlayStation Plus Extra, of course, included in the PlayStation Plus Premium tier, you've got Alex Kidd in Miracle World, Assassin's Creed Origins, Chicory, A Colourful Tale, Deathloop, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Monster Energy Supercross 5, Rabbids Invasion, Rayman Legends, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Spiritfarer, and Watch Dogs 2. So obviously a big month for Ubisoft incorporating into this one. Top picks for you out of that list, Rob?
Siphon Filter 2. I don't know why it is. It just is. I love the Siphon Filter games.
Cool.
So I'm going to be
making a reboot. Richie, what's your top pick out of those ones? If you've not played any of them before.
I actually don't think I have played. I've played Scott Pilgrim before. I think it's probably going to be Assassin's Creed Origins as the standout for me.
Yeah, I'd say Assassin's Creed Origins and probably Deathloop, just by proxy of it got loads of Game of the Year.
Oh yeah, Deathloop as well. I just completely glossed over Deathloop. Yeah, probably AC Origins or Deathloop.
Yeah, and apparently Deathloop plays really, really good on the PS5 DualSense as well, which still I've noticed now it's obviously an Xbox Game Pass. Loads of people saying it still plays better on PS5 just because of the nature of the DualSense and because it's a shooter. It lends itself well to all that kind of stuff. But that brings us to an end of that one. We'll probably have, on next week's show, when we do it live on this Helix Cloud Games celebration, we'll probably have the list for October games because it'll be October the 1st, which means we'll have our list of titles and we'll know what PlayStation are giving us to the premium members this coming month of October. But that is all the news we've got on this week's show. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. Don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you're kept in the loop with all of our great content. And more importantly, tune in this Saturday. Do join us for our Helix Cloud Celebration Showcase. We're going to be doing this show live, right kicking off the day, first thing, 12 o'clock, with the three of us. We're then going to do some Atari showdowns, some first looks. We're going to be bringing you the Sounds of Stadia podcast live. And then in the afternoon, we're going to be doing some Killer Queen Black, some FIFA 23, where we can challenge you on the pitch out there. We've got some mini-games as part of our Caring in the Clouds charity crossover with John Scar and the wonderful cloud community. Stadia Scope mini-game, tune in for that one. Hitman, and another episode of CloudQuest. All good to go before we go into the After Dark latest show, where we play some games with you, the awesome community out there. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great day of celebrations. Thank you again for everyone who's tuned into this particular show. If you watch along on YouTube or you listen on your podcast services in the clouds, don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe, rate the service as well. If you're on Spotify, give us 5 stars if you do please. And a big shout out to our Helix heroes, of course, the wonderful folks who do support the channel that extra little bit further. You patrons, over 50 of you out there. We had loads last week new to the show. I think we got about, was it nine new Helix heroes, Richie?
Yeah, I think it might be 9 or 10.
Which is crazy amount. And obviously, thank you very much for anyone out there at any tiers. And remember, as part of Saturday's show, we'll also be doing some giveaways. So there's some Helix Cloud Games apparel up for grabs to be won, some Helix Cloud stickers, and a Google Nest Mini to give away as well. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you for tuning into this show for episode number 15, Talking the PS. My name's been Chris.
I've been Richie.
And I've been Rob.
And remember, folks, play whatever makes you the happiest. Have a great week, and we'll see you on Saturday. Goodbye.
Bye.